Meeting to order. The ground rules for the meeting are as follows. I'm going to introduce myself so that those who might be watching know who I am. We will do so with the other two commission members, and then the two representatives, one from the union, one from the mayor's office, who will be, on behalf of the city, who will be presenting evidence to the fact-finding commission. As I indicated, this meeting is very limited in scope. We are only talking about procedural rules. This is my first time in a fact-finding commission, so I will have plenty of questions in that regard, mostly about procedure. And so we have some expectations of how we want the meeting to go forward, as well as when and under what parameters. So I'm Roger Burdick. I'm just retired from the Idaho State Supreme Court, have been a judge for 39 years, magistrate, district judge, and appellate judge during those 39 years. And I thank both parties for the opportunity to be a part of this fact-finding commission. Hopefully we can come out with some good stuff. And who wishes to go first, Scott or Alan?
I'm Alan Hirschfeld. I'm retired. I'm retired as of 2017. I was an attorney in Idaho for 34 years, and I primarily represented labor unions.
Scott Moritz. I'm active attorney practicing in Boise, and I was selected by the city to be a member of the panel.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes, Ricky Walsh. I am the current IFF 7th District Vice President for the International Association of Firefighters. I was a firefighter for 31 years in Richland, Washington. I'm now elected to this position by all the career firefighters and EMS responders in Alaska, Montana, Idaho, and Washington State.
Jared?
And I'm Jared Johnson. I'm the city attorney for the city of Pocatello. It says mayor's office in my panel here, but we are just using the council chambers here at City Hall and using the mayor's laptop for that purpose so that we can stream today's meeting and any future fact-finding commission meetings. And just want to say thank you to the fact finders for being willing to serve, and we're looking forward to a good process. Very
good. At this point in time, I have some questions, and they will be for the commissioners as well as for the parties. First of all, I hope we all brought calendars so we can find a date for the hearing, and that's the first order of business. The second one will be, how long do you anticipate the hearings to go? And then from there, I've got some other questions.
Okay. There has been some developments, Your Honor. We're down to just two issues, is my understanding, and that would be wages across the board and then medical premium share. Otherwise, they've had TAs and other things have been taken off the table. Having said that, I believe that we could probably do this in one day. However, just in case, I think we probably should schedule 2 successive days if we can.
I would agree with that. There may be some bargaining go on as evidence is presented to the commission. Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with what's been stated. We have narrowed this negotiation session this year down to 2 remaining issues, as was stated. In fact, one of the most recently TA'd agreements that we have is that all other issues are withdrawn except those 2. So I think that this is something that likely can be done in one session, but I think scheduling 2 makes sense.
When you say TA'd, what does that mean?
We've reached a tentative agreement that's subject to approval by the parties' governing boards.
And have the governing boards been amenable to those things that have been settled so far? I'm not trying to put anybody in a box. I'm just saying it's like closing on a house. Yeah. What do you think people are somewhat amenable to those TA issues?
I can only speak on behalf of the city, but I can tell you that we've had regular communication with the city council as we've gone through the negotiation process in the form of executive sessions. And I feel confident that the TAs that have been reached will be supported, but I can't say for sure. That's up to them ultimately in an open session.
I understand. Mr. Walsh.
Yeah, I believe that the union body, when they get their total package back with the tentative agreements, will be following their leadership's advice and count on that from the negotiations team. And the negotiations team will be selling it.
Very good. Okay. Just wondering if we have to have more days. What do we think about a date for commission members and the parties? Can we come to a date?
So Alan Hirschfeld here. I am pretty open, being blissfully retired, and about the only obligations that I have which would make me unavailable are a pre-scheduled vacation in the last week of September, when we already have our tickets to try to go to Canada if the borders are open.
My wife and I have paid for 2 salmon fishing trips in British Columbia in 2019. Now we're going on our 3rd year of not getting anything for our money. So anyway, I'm still a Trudeau fan. Anyway, so Alan, August seems open for you?
I'm open for August, and I'm open for September until the last week of September.
Scott?
I only have 2 conflicts, July 20th through the 23rd, and then the 2nd week of August.
Okay. Mr. Walsh?
I unfortunately am booked out until the end of August there and the 1st of September. I was going to throw out a date that I could squeeze in of September 1st and 2nd.
Okay. Let me check. How does everybody feel about September 1st and 2nd?
Based on everything that's been stated previously, I can tell you that my availability is, I am available September 1st and 2nd, if that's the soonest that we could set something. And it sounds like it is.
Scott, Alan?
I'm fine those days.
Ditto.
All right. We will start at 9 a.m. on September 1st, continue until we're done. The workday will be 9 to 12, reconvene at 1:30 and work until 5 or 5:30, depending on availability of witnesses. And if we need another day, it'll be the same schedule.
I will tell you that on the 2nd is our regularly scheduled city council meeting in this chambers. The pre-agenda meeting starts at 5:30, so we would have to be wrapped up just shortly before that.
Well, it's always good to have a deadline.
Yes, it is.
I'd like to ask the parties, how many witnesses will you have? How do you intend to proceed? I understand this is a lot different than a court of law. I'm getting used to that, but would like to ask the parties, are you intending to call witnesses or have documentary evidence presented to us? Jared?
Oh, good.
Sorry, I didn't catch what Ricky said.
Documents, how do you wish to proceed? How many
I
witnesses will you
anticipate
be
that
calling?
we would call at least a couple of witnesses where we're only down to 2 issues. I can't imagine more than 4 at the most. I haven't given it exact thought as of yet. I would also ask the commission to accept documentation as supporting for what those witnesses provide and what the city's position would be.
The foundation for their testimony, you mean?
Yes.
I think the testimony would provide the foundation for the documents, actually, yeah.
All right, okay. Mr. Walsh, your comments?
No, I agree with Jared's comments there. I think that we'll probably have no more than 4 witnesses. We will supply evidence, whether it's charts or graphs or other supporting evidence that will be the foundation given to the credibility to those particular documents will be given by the witnesses that we call.
All right. Throughout your negotiations, I'm wondering, have there been a portion of those documents that the parties can stipulate that they will be admitted for all purposes before the commission?
I don't know of any.
I'm trying to recall, we've had several negotiation sessions, 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't recall any that would be relevant to the specific issues still left on the table. No, that's not true. There has been some, but I would still anticipate that there would be some foundation laid for those documents.
Very good. All right. The other questions. So we don't have any stipulations as to evidence.
Not at this point.
Nope.
Documents and exhibits will be authenticated by the witnesses, and they will furnish the foundation for those documents. As concerns so there's no need for an exchange. Do the commission members have any questions about process for either party?
I
Scott
don't have any, none.
and Alan?
I guess I would just bring up a question that you raised during a previous conversation between you, me, and Scott. That was about who goes first. And I guess I'd ask the parties their feelings about that. Who goes first in presentation of evidence?
I anticipate the following would be the ground rules for the witnesses. I don't know who wishes to go first. I may have to decide that on some other basis, but a witness will be called, and at that point in time, their representative will question that person subject to further investigation by the opposing representative. And then the party who has called that witness will be given one chance to further present evidence based upon that previous testimony. And that's all. We're not going to have a bunch of back and forth for hours. We need to get to the issues, get them presented, and get on with it. As concerns so that will be the presentation of the witnesses. So be prepared in that regard, please. As concerns the parties going forward, I would like to hear your suggestions either from the commission or from the participants. I have always thought in a courtroom, and like I say, I'm getting used to fact finding. In a courtroom, the party who proposes an issue or wants to bring it forward is the party that goes first in that regard. I would imagine both of you have proposals that you wish to present, so it's a little bit different than the city wants to stay where they're at. The union wishes to move forward with some proposals. So I think it's a little more complicated than usual in that regard. Do the parties have any help in that regard for the commission?
My only thought, Justice Burdick, would be the fact that there are ongoing negotiations. As per the statute, we are continuing to have sessions. In fact, we have one scheduled for next Monday. And we're hopeful that we can get to a resolution before September 1st, but I think it's great that we have something planned in case that doesn't happen. We have not reached an impasse. There is still back and forth. There is a proposal from the city that's on the table being considered by the union even as we speak, and that's how we closed the last session. So I think there might be some credence to the idea that where we're at in that process might dictate who goes first, who goes second, who responds, who presents, things like that. And that's certainly a discussion I think might be a good idea to have with your permission, of course, prior to the presentation, maybe even another status conference prior to the first, if we have reached an impasse and kind of what that impasse looks like. Those are just some thoughts that I have at this point, though, on that.
Mr. Walsh, sir.
Yeah, I'm actually open to whichever. I don't mind the union going first. My understanding is that is the union that is moving forward to try to change wages, increase them. And then on their medical premium share, the moving party on that happens to be the city. So either or, whoever wants to go first is fine. I agree with the moving party probably should go first on their issue.
Okay. And maybe we could bifurcate the presentation of evidence along those lines. At this point in time, I'm going to tentatively state that as concerns evidence on the wages, the union will go first. As concerns the issue on medical benefits, the city will go first, and we will have a bifurcated presentation. Wages go first and then medical benefits. Any objection in that regard by either commission member or the parties?
No, sir.
No objection.
I think that's all the questions I had. Do the commission members have anything further they would like to present other than what Alan has given us? And Alan, go forward if you have more, sir.
Well, I don't, but I did have a question on what you said about the presentation of evidence. If I understood correctly, the idea was that there would be direct and then cross and then one chance only for redirect. Is that right? Okay. And then I guess my follow-up question is, I'm assuming then that there'd also be one chance only for recross after redirect, right?
I'm not a fan of recross, but if the other commission members believe that is an appropriate way to proceed, I would go with your thoughts in that regard, Alan and Scott.
Well, I'm not a presenter. That's just kind of the way I always used to look at things when I was in practice.
Okay, so you'd like to have recross. Scott, anything?
To me, it's a case by case basis. If nothing new's come up, there's no reason to recross. If there's something out of the blue that comes up, I think they ought to have a right to request recross and then make a decision at that point.
I agree with that.
Okay, so that's how we'll proceed. A request for recross if you wish. And that will be determined by myself as concerns the subject matters that were presented in that cross.
Correct.
Or in the redirect. Any other questions by the commission members? Alan?
I guess the only other question I had, and again, I think we talked about this before, that the rules of evidence do not strictly apply.
I was thinking about that, and I'd agree with that for sure. However, there's got to be kind of a bottom line, it seems to me, and I'm putting this out for commission members and parties. There has to be a bottom line. We're not going to just throw stuff against the wall like magistrate court here. We've got to have something. And I'm wondering if the standard of what a reasonable person would find credible, I think that's a standard that is used in some areas, administrative law, etc. I would or you can let it all in and we'll tell you what evidence we find and away we go. Comments by either party in that regard?
My preference would be that the rules of evidence are the guideline, with the reasonable person standard being kind of what guides that. I think that makes for a more efficient hearing for all parties and the commission itself.
Mr. Walsh?
I would say that I believe arbitrations, this is not an arbitration, but also fact findings are for us to give you all the evidence that we think is relevant, and then the panel gets to go through and decide what's relevant or not in their decision and their deliberations.
Okay. Because this is a procedural issue that I think is not a decision that is appropriate for the open meeting, only because the commission may have to go back and forward as concerns some law in this regard. I'm going to ask that the three of us meet on this very finite issue, and we will give both parties plenty of opportunity after we've made a decision.
I agree.
Now, Mr. Walsh or Jared, do you have any further questions that I might help or the commission might help you prepare and or present in this proceeding?
I have two questions.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Okay, thanks, Jared. First of all, post-hearing briefs, we'll be submitting those, I assume, just for planning purposes.
I believe that would be appropriate.
Okay, and we'll set that time at the close of the hearing.
Yes.
Okay, the second thing, a court reporter.
I think you're going to have that. I'm
Yeah,
open
I
to
believe.
opportunities otherwise. Okay.
Now, I would believe the union would like a court reporter. If the city agrees, we'll split the costs on that. If the city does not want one, then the union would keep the report.
We have no objection to splitting the cost on a court reporter. If the union wants to, we can talk, Ricky, and set that up administratively. Talk
Okay.
about who and how and those types of things. As long as the commission has no concerns with that.
I have none. It'll be it. Good. Do you wish to
Perfect.
have real-time reporting or just reporting? Real-time reporting where there's a transcript produced or a rough transcript produced immediately.
We would like to have a transcript, an accurate transcript, that would be developed by the court reporter given to the parties.
Okay.
And Ricky, you're talking about having a transcript available for the post-hearing brief. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we would want one before we wrote our post-hearing brief.
And just for everybody's reminder or information, pursuant to the open meeting law and how we do things here at the City of Pocatello, we live stream now and record all of our meetings, and they're posted to our website usually within a couple of days, if not sooner. So the actual video of the hearing will be available as well.
Okay.
Anything further, Mr. Walsh? Those were good comments. Thank you.
No, I don't.
Jared, anything, sir?
The only questions I would have are, would you be planning on basically adhering to the rules of procedure as well regarding opening statements and closing statements, or would you like to just get right into it with witnesses when we get to that point?
I think an opening statement would be appropriate. A timely opening statement, certainly these, I can't imagine anything over 10 minutes. Commission members, input?
I like opening statements. It just gives us a direction that we're looking for then as the testimony starts.
Alan?
Works for me if it works for the parties.
That sounds greght. Thank you.
Yep.
Is 10 minutes enough?
Five,
Yes.
5 minutes more than I'll need.
Okay. All right. Give us the money and the benefits. Other than that, what else do I have to say? All right.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Commission members, anything further?
I hesitate to bring this up, but it may be necessary in light of what I was reading in Scott's email about the open meeting law. It's my position and understanding that the open meeting law requirement would not apply to telephone conferences just between the commission members, and similarly would not apply to deliberations of commission members. Now, I don't know if that's something that we need to be talking about in greater length at some point, maybe not today, but I wanted to get that out there on the table if it's going to be the city's position that that those, I'm not talking about the fact finding itself. There's no question that the fact finding hearing is subject to the open meeting requirement. I'm talking about deliberations and communications between the commission members only.
And I would love to comment on that. As far as the communications between the commissioners, as we're determining procedural things, I think an argument could be made there that the open meeting law does not have to be complied with for that process. But I would respectfully disagree on deliberations. In fact, the city of Pocatello went to fact finding not many years ago before I was with the city, so I wasn't personally a part of it, but I am aware of it. And the deliberations in that process were done in closed session, and that was determined to be an open meeting violation. So I would suggest strongly that we plan on deliberations of the fact-finding commission after the parties have closed happen in open meeting to avoid that problem again.
I'd appreciate more detail on the past situation you're referring to. If it was a court decision, I'd appreciate your providing that. I'd like to know what the fact finding was, when it was, and
who are the participants. We are not elected officials. We are not the board that is making the decision, all of which seem to me to take us outside. But having said that, if you'll present to us the facts underlying that I may, if you'll do that within 2 working days, please. Copies to the commission members, copy to Mr. Walsh. And if so, I may in fact ask an attorney general's opinion in that regard. I don't agree with it at all.
I thought I was part of
the deliberations.
I thought I was part of that. I believe it was over the medical insurance. I don't remember any court action or determination that said the deliberations were unlawful. And it is the union's feeling that the fact-finding commission is not a public entity subject to the open meetings law, for that you guys can have your deliberations behind closed doors, and you should.
And
Scott,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
In that regard, sir?
Were you asking me?
Yes, Scott, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
As I've indicated to you and to Alan, I tend to err on transparency and open things up. Deliberations is an interesting twist within that. I think that any decision that's made should be made in open session. That does not necessarily mean that the deliberations leading to that decision should be made in open session and potentially could be an executive session, so long as the final decision is made in open session, the votes of the respective commissioners and anything they want to say as to justify their vote one way or the other. And so from that standpoint, I think procedural discussions between the commissioners are fine. Deliberations are probably fine. I haven't thought through that completely, but I think that any decision needs to be made in open session. Because we are a commission under the statute, pursuant to the statute,
That would seem to me
it's a twist that causes me concerns.
I disagree, Scott, that we are a commission within the meaning of the word public agency in the statute. I think that is a too restrictive an interpretation, and I'd be glad to speak with you and Roger about that in more detail, to give you what I think is the strong argument that deliberations are not within the meaning are not within the scope of the open meeting law.
All right, let's put it this way. Let's go back to my original comment. The city will present us with, within 2 working days, Mr. Walsh, as well as the commission, their position in this regard. The commission will then decide whether or not to go forward one way or the other. And we may, in fact, ask for an attorney general's opinion in that regard. But we'll talk about it in 2 days.
With all due respect, Justice Burdick, is there any way I could get a little bit longer?
Oh, I'm not a judge. You don't have to say in all due respect.
Well, there's still a lot of respect for you, sir. But whereas we're not set till the first part of September, this is a short week for me with the holiday, for everybody with the holiday. Could we have, and I'm planning on taking some time off towards the end of the week. Is there any chance that we could extend that deadline to get that out to everybody, say Wednesday of next week?
That seems fine to me. I just want to make sure everybody is well aware of our decision for their planning purposes, sir. So why don't you say Thursday of next week?
I won't argue with you there. Thank you. And again, my position sounds personally, my position and my opinion is similar to what has been expressed here. I just know that there's some historical information there that I need to look into a little bit.
Sure. Perfect. That's what we're here for. We need to find the facts. Anything further? Any other ideas or comments by either party?
Not
by
from
the
the city.
commissioners?
I hope you guys get it worked out at the negotiation table.
I'm looking forward to Pocatello in September. It's nice and
Beautiful
toasty.
all the time.
All right. With that, we will end the meeting and thank Mr. Walsh and Jared. What's your last name, sir?
Johnson.
Mr. Johnson. Thank you for your presentation, your help. And of course, the commission members, thank you. Without anything further, this matter is at an end. Thank you.
Thank you.
I almost said court's in recess.
Can I sit down now?
Yeah. See you guys.